Alright, so this video is about things popping up, quote unquote pop up. I may or may not have discussed it in the past. Doesn't hurt to review it though. So, let me see if you can see the board here. A close-up shot of my schnoz and forehead. Actually, it's going to be in reverse, isn't it? Either way, this says pop up, and then that says, you know what, I'll just describe it, it's fine. But, so, I put pop up in quotations. So I was sitting down with one of the people I manage, and they were like, yeah, a couple things that popped up last week. I go, tell me about that. I go, what does that really mean? I go, first of all, did something really pop up? Like, did a mole pop up out of the ground? Or did, like, one of those, like, clown things where you turn the crank and the scary clown jumps out and goes, blah, you know? Like, did something really pop up? Or is that more of a figure of speech? And he's like, yeah, all right, a figure of speech. I go, okay, that's the first thing to acknowledge. I go, what does it mean when something pops up? And I asked him, I go, what's the impact of that? Or what does that really mean? And he's like, well, I'm surprised. And we talked about it being unprepared or having it be the unknown. I wrote down the word unknown. And then I ended up crossing off the which I'll get to in a second. So I said, number one, let's take a look at this. First of all, let's consider not describing things as popping up anymore. That would be step number one. And I said, step number two, I go, would be to how can we make the unknown be known? How do you drop the un part? Because most of the things we say pop up, they were in somebody's schedule somewhere. And so by us being responsible and saying, okay, I will know what in the past I used to let fall into the pop-up category, I'm just going to take responsibility and know in advance. Like, that's what I'm deciding. We would then ask questions. Hey, you know, family members, what do we got coming up? We would, seek out, information and find out what's coming up in the future. And then consider that's our way of just being responsible for hitting our goals. Now, if something does happen, like an accident of some kind, that wasn't in anybody's calendar, like, they're not like, we're not like fortune tellers or psychics, There's the difference between altering the plan and then giving up the goal. I think quite often, something happens like an accident or whatever that we weren't predicting, and nobody could have. And then we then change the goal, or we abandon the goal. So what I suggested to him, I go, well, just consider changing the plan, but as long as there's still a window of time remaining in the contest period, don't give up on the outcome. Don't give up on the goal being met. Be unreasonable about that, but be willing to change the plan. And I shared with him, it's like, imagine he had to go to a wedding by 5 o'clock, like his sister's wedding, and it was noon. And so the goal is to be at the wedding by 5. Like, that's the destination, the goal. The plan is to take a car there. And let's assume the car breaks down. It's not like you'd be like, hey, sis, I'm not going to come to the wedding now. So the idea is we would just change the plan, but we wouldn't give up on the actual goal. So, just a way to look at it is like the times when in the past we would normally give up the goal, let's maintain the goal, let's still make it a commitment, find a way, but let's be willing to change the plan as quickly as possible. Because if we delay the changing of the plan, we're using up more contest period of time. And that happens sometimes when we get like so upset about, oh, it didn't look the way I want it to look. And I've referenced this in earlier videos, versus accepting it, I get it. So in the wedding example, the car broke down, I don't have access to the car. So instead of sitting here like kicking the tire and getting pissed about it and regretting and da-da-da, I go as quickly as possible, except I don't have access to a car. But I still have to get to the wedding by 5. Boom, let me go ahead and come up with new action steps, new plan. Be creative, brainstorm. What can be done, what can be done, what can be done? Because it's not a question of whether or not I'll go to the wedding. I'm still going. It's my sister's wedding. It's how now. All right, so, and that's another lesson in itself. Still maintain that it's possible, still maintain that it will be done, and it's just a question of how. Not if, but how. That's the idea.